Hello guys, welcome to the channel H2O, the A to Z of chemistry. Today we are going to begin with lecture 7 from the course S block elements, but make sure you watch the previous ones before viewing this one. In this course, we have been so far discussing about the group 1 elements, that is the alkali metals, and we have already discussed about the atomic properties of the alkali metals, the physical properties and the chemical properties. While discussing the chemical properties, we also have been discussing about the products of those chemical reactions the alkali metals participate in. We have talked about the salts of the alkali metals. We have talked about the oxides, the peroxides, the superoxides, the hydroxides, the halides, and so on. So carrying on that discussion further, today we are going to talk about yet another type of salts of the alkali metals. Today we are going to talk about the alkali metal salts of oxoacids. So first of all, you do not know what are oxoacids. So I will be telling you what are oxoacids and then we will be discussing the alkali metal salts of these oxoacids. But giving you one example, in your class 10th and probably 9th also, you must have studied about the formula for two compounds. One is washing soda and the other is baking soda. Washing soda is sodium carbonate and baking soda, that is sodium bicarbonate, that is NaHCO3, is baking soda, and washing soda is Na2CO3. Well, these are very important compounds and we will be discussing further in this course in detail about these compounds as well. But let me tell you that, well, these are the alkali metal salts of oxoacids. These two, both of them, they are the examples of alkali metal salts of oxoacids. So you can understand the importance of today's lecture because these are two compounds that we will be discussing in detail, and today we are going to talk about them and more of these types of compounds, the alkali metal salts of oxoacids in general today. Alright, so I am Dr. Ritu Johar, your educator from the channel H2O, the A to Z of chemistry, and I hope you are going to enjoy your learning with me. So let us begin the learning and be very attentive because at the end I'm going to be asking you a few questions. All those who have been watching the previous lectures, they know very well that the end of the lecture is with few questions and the answers to that I do not tell you. I only tell them if you are going to put the answers of yours in the comment section. So please be very attentive. Listen to the lecture well, take down notes because they will be very helpful for your revision, and then at the end answer those questions in the comment section. So let us begin today's learning. So as we begin today's lecture, first of all, we will be starting with the learning. What do we mean by oxoacids? Alright, so oxoacids is essentially standing for oxo is related to oxygen. So these are oxygen containing acids and these are also called as therefore oxyacids, either oxoacids or they are called as oxyacids. Now acids you have been studying a lot about in class 11, but when you were in your junior classes in 9th and 10th, the only definition about acids that you knew was that the acids they can release H positive ions into the solution. And these oxoacids also can release H positive ions into the solution and therefore we call them as acids. I have discussed a lot about them in my lectures of the P block elements class 12, and you will also find those lectures in my lectures on inorganic made easy playlist. So if you want to have a detailed study of these oxoacids, well, you can watch those lectures I've talked about the oxoacids of phosphorus, sulfur and halogens, and there is an initial learning of about 10 minutes where we just talk about all the oxoacids in general. So you can have a detailed understanding there also. I will just be giving you a brief introduction about these oxoacids today. Fine. So oxoacids, these are the acids which have acidic portion on the hydroxyl group with the oxo group on the same atom. For example, carbonic acid, sulfuric acid, etc. Let me explain you this with the help of the structures of these compounds. So we have H2CO3, that is carbonic acid. In this we have a carbon, right? To this carbon we want a group, that is the OH group, that has to be attached, and this OH group should be such that it has an acidic portion. What this means is that this hydrogen from the OH group, this can be released as the H positive into the solution, and therefore they being called as acids. Okay, so we have at least one OH group, and the atom to which this OH group is attached, well, this should also have an oxo group. That means a double bonded oxygen. So we have an atom to which is attached at least one OH group, and the OH group should be such that this can release an H positive. For example, if we talk about NaOH, right? So in NaOH, we have an atom to which OH group is attached, but well, it is not this H which can be released as H positive. You all know that this is the breaking of the bond between sodium and oxygen to release OH ions into the solution. What we want is that this OH group should break from the bond between oxygen and hydrogen so that we get H positive ions into the solution, and hence being showing the properties of an acid. Alright, so we have to have an atom to which there is a OH group attached and to which there is also an oxo group. The next, let us see one more example. We have H2SO4. So again, what you can see is to this, we have two OH groups attached, two oxo groups attached. So it is these hydrogens which can be lost as H positive ions, which are responsible for the acidic character of these compounds. Perfectly clear. I hope you understand this. And then we have even phosphoric acid, H3PO4. So here there are three hydrogens which are attached to the oxygens of the hydroxyl group. So these can be lost and they are going to be responsible for the acidic character. So this is going to be tribasic, this is going to be dibasic, this is also going to be a dibasic acid. Okay, now very importantly, please do remember these all can dissociate to produce H positive ions and the corresponding anion of the acid. So in general we can write it as ZOH. Okay, and when it is going to be the loss of the H positive, what we will be getting is the corresponding anion of the acid, which can be representing as ZO negative. Now these all, they react with the alkali metals to produce the corresponding alkali metal salts. For example, if there is going to be a reaction of H2CO3 carbonic acid with sodium, what we will be getting is sodium carbonate, and along with that hydrogen is going to be evolved. Okay, so this Na2CO3 is what? This is the alkali metal salt of the oxo acid. What was the oxo acid here? H2CO3, and now the hydrogen of the H2CO3, this has been replaced by the sodium ions, and hence this is called as the alkali metal salt of oxo acid. Clear? We can also have these as a reaction of the oxo acid with the bases. For example, H2SO4 reacting with NaOH, again what you will be getting is Na2SO4, and along with that water will be produced. So this is an acid base reaction, and they are also produced as a result of these acid base reactions. So sodium sulfate is also an alkali metal salt of oxo acids. So next, now with this brief understanding, let us talk about the salts of the oxo acids. So all the oxo acids, they form salts with alkali metals. For example, we have alkali metal carbonates, bicarbonates, sulfates, etc. Because all the alkali metals, they are electropositive metals, so they can replace the H positive ion of the oxo acid. Okay. So we have H2CO3 reacting with sodium to produce sodium carbonate and H2. So this is a alkali metal salt of the oxo acid. Now please do remember that the alkali metals, they form salts with all oxo acids. It may be any alkali metal, it may be any oxo acid. Both are going to combine to form a salt. And then all these salts, they are generally soluble in water. There are a few exceptions to it, which I will be just now telling you. These are generally thermally stable. So what do we mean by thermally stable? Well, they can withstand high temperatures. So when they are going to be heating them, well, they are not generally going to decompose very easily. So now you know that we have the various alkali metal salts of the oxoacids, like we have alkali metal carbonates, bicarbonates, nitrates, sulfates, etc. So we will be talking about one by one all of these, but not in much detail. We will be talking about them as much as is given in the NCERT textbook for class 11th, or we will be talking about some more points which are going to be important for various competitive examination like NEET, JEE Mains as well as advanced. So the content I am going to be giving you is going to be sufficient for these preparations of yours. Alright, so first of all, we will be talking about the alkali metal carbonates and bicarbonates. So the alkali metal carbonates, they can be represented by the general formula M2CO3, where M is going to stand for the alkali metal and the bicarbonates is going to be MHCO3. So please do remember that all the alkali metal carbonates, they are stable towards heat except lithium carbonate. When I say stable towards heat, this means that when you are going to be testing these various salts in the laboratory, you can heat them in the Bunsen flame and you will find that all the alkali metal carbonates, nothing is going to happen to them. But if you're going to heat lithium carbonate, well, it is going to decompose into lithium oxide, and along with that carbon dioxide is going to be evolved. This is one very important difference that you have to remember for lithium carbonate and the rest of the alkali metal carbonates. The rest of the group 1 carbonates, they do not decompose at the Bunsen temperatures. This does not mean that if you're going to keep on heating them to higher temperatures, they will not decompose. All the alkali metal carbonates at very, very high temperatures, well, they also will be decomposing into oxides, and along with that carbon dioxide will be evolved. But when we are saying that they are stable towards heat, it means that they are not going to decompose at Bunsen temperatures. Okay, so please do remember this very well. Now the thermal stability, this increases down the group because of the increase in the electropositive character. So the order for thermal stability is going to be lithium carbonate, the least stable. Going down the group, cesium carbonate is going to be having the maximum thermal stability. And for this, in the previous lectures, if you have watched while we were talking about the various thermal stability orders, I gave you even a trick to remember the stability orders, where you can remember that friendship is between equals, right? So if there is a cation and anion of similar sizes, well, they are going to be more stable. So when we have carbonate ion, this is a large sized ion, and along with that we have to have a large size cation for them to be thermally stable compound formed. Okay, so cesium carbonate, the cation and anion both are large, they both together will be more stable. And when we have lithium carbonate, lithium is small, the anion is large, well, the difference between the cation and anion is more, the thermal stability is less. Basically, the thermal stability depends upon the lattice energy values. Now, very frequently, a question which can be asked to you in the examination is lithium carbonate. This is less stable to heat. Why? So you all know that lithium carbonate, this decomposes into lithium oxide and carbon dioxide, whereas the less of the alkali metal carbonates, they are stable to the Bunsen flame temperature. But why is it so is something that is really very important for you people. So lithium carbonate, this is less stable to heat because of its structure, that is Li2 positive CO3 2 negative. So this is a ionic bond which is formed between the lithium ions and the carbonate ion. Right now, what you have to remember in relation to the instability of lithium carbonate to heat is the Fajans rule. I hope you all have studied the Fajans rule in your lectures on chemical bonding. In case you have not studied, well, you can watch our lecture on Fajans rule in the playlist on chemical bonding. Okay, so you should have a clear understanding. In fact, if you have watched the previous lectures on the alkali metals, you will realize that so many properties of lithium are basically because of the Fajans rule. So lithium ion, this has a small sized cation right? And this distorts the electron cloud over the oxygen atom of the carbonate ion. So what happens is that we have a electron cloud like this, okay? So something of this sort. And the lithium ion, well, because of its small size, the concentration of the positive charge is on a small area, and therefore it can pull the negatively charged oxygen towards it because the size of the anion is large. So as a result, what is going to happen is that this is going to be an attractive pull between lithium and oxygen. The lithium oxygen bond is going to get stronger, and the carbon oxygen bond is going to get weaker. Okay, so what it is going to result is in the breaking of this bond between carbon and oxygen. So now you will be able to see that better. Okay, so and this leads to the decomposition of the carbonate ion into O2 negative and carbon dioxide. So as a result, what is going to be formed? As a result, we will be getting Li2O, and along with that carbon dioxide is going to be formed, where the small O2 negative makes lithium oxide more stable than Li2CO3, thus favoring the decomposition. Okay, so this is a small sized ion. This was a large sized anion. Now the small sized anion is going to be much more stable with the small sized cation. So you know the thermal stability, small is happy with small. Small is not very happy with large one. So that is why we see the polarizing effect of lithium on the oxygen of the carbonate ion. The attractive will more towards these two, and therefore the bond getting stronger and the carbon oxygen bond getting weaker, the breaking of oxygen from carbonate ion resulting in the formation of carbon dioxide and lithium oxide. So I hope now this will be always clear to you. As far as the other of the alkali metals they are going to be concerned, well, the size is going to be bigger. For the cation, the polarizing power will be decreasing, and hence we will find that down the group the stability of the carbonates that is going to increase. So the next thing that you have to remember is related to the alkali metal bicarbonates now. And for the alkali metal bicarbonates, what you have to remember is that all alkali metal bicarbonates, they form solid bicarbonates with the exception of lithium bicarbonate. Lithium bicarbonate will exist as lithium ions and bicarbonate ions in the aqueous solutions, but it does not exist as a solid salt. Okay, for example, you have all seen the sodium bicarbonate, the baking soda. In case you have not watched it, do request your mother to show that to you. Definitely she must be having it in her kitchen. So you will realize that that is a solid salt, just like the common table salt. But well, as far as lithium bicarbonate is concerned, it will not exist as a solid. Rest all alkali metals, they will be forming solid bicarbonates. This is very important for you to remember. And the next thing is that all group 1 bicarbonates, they are stable enough to exist as solids, but they decompose easily on heating. So just now what we talked about, the carbonates were that they were very stable to the Bunsen temperature, except for lithium carbonate, which decomposes. So now the bicarbonates, they exist as salt, but they decompose easily on heating. So this is the difference between the bicarbonates and the carbonates of the alkali metals. So what is going to be the decomposition reaction? For example, if I take sodium bicarbonate, it on heating is going to decompose to sodium carbonate. Carbon dioxide is going to be what? And along with that, water is going to be formed. So this will be common similar reaction for the rest of the alkali metals as well. Now do remember one more very important thing, which is a difference between the alkali metals and the rest of all the metals. No other metal will be forming solid bicarbonates. Okay, so it is only the alkali metal bicarbonates which form solid bicarbonates. Otherwise, one more solid bicarbonate which exists is ammonium bicarbonate. Other Apart from that, no other metal is going to form a solid bicarbonate. For example, if we talk about calcium bicarbonate, the alkaline earth metals, which is the next block elements that, the next group elements that we will be studying in the course S block elements. So they will not be forming solid bicarbonates. And as far as the stability of the bicarbonates is concerned, so bicarbonate ion, this is a large anion. So this is going to be most stable with a large cation. Friendship between equals, right? So stability is going to increase down the group. All right, now the next thing is about their solubility. So all the carbonates and bicarbonates, they are soluble in water with the exception of sodium bicarbonate and lithium carbonate. So lithium carbonate, we have just now seen also in relation to the Fajans rule that this has covalent character, right? Because of the lithium ion being small in size, the carbonate ion being large in size. So the lithium ion, it has a polarizing power, and the carbonate ion, this can be polarized. Therefore, there is going to be a covalent character in the bond between lithium and oxygen of the carbonate ion, and hence this has covalent character. And when there is going to be covalent character, well, the solubility is going to decrease as compared to the ionic compounds. Okay, so lithium carbonate, and similar reason we will be having sodium bicarbonate also being less soluble. Sodium bicarbonate is sparingly soluble in water. A slight amount of solubility is there, which we take use of in the Solvay's process that you will be studying later in this course. Okay, so there again I'll make you remember this, that sodium bicarbonate, this is sparingly soluble in water. Okay, and I have not included over here lithium bicarbonate because lithium bicarbonate does not exist as a solid, so you do not have to make a solution of it. So the order of solubility for the carbonates is going to increase down the group, and the solubility of the bicarbonates is also going to increase down the group. Okay, so this is what you have to remember. In general, when we talk about the solubility of the compounds, I'll tell you here also. In general, when we have been talking about previously also about the solubility of these compounds, what we say is see the maximum difference between the size of the cation and the anion. More is the size difference between the cation and the anion, more is the solubility. These are exceptions to that rule. In fact, all the carbonates, bicarbonates, and even when we will be studying about the sulfates, they will be exception to that rule, where we are saying that the solubility is maximum when we have a large cation and a large anion together. So this is again something that you have to remember. I have put up a separate lecture also in my course on inorganic made easy, where I have taken up all the trends of the alkali metals at one place. So you can watch that lecture for a quick revision of all these trends together. The next type of salts we have are the alkali metal nitrates, the general formula being MnO3, where M is going to be again the alkali metal. Okay, so what is going to be the oxo acid for these salts? Well, this is going to be HNO3. So HNO3 is also an oxo acid, and the alkali metal salt will be called as alkali metal nitrates. So how are we going to prepare them? Well, we will be preparing them by the action of HNO3 on the corresponding carbonate or hydroxide. For example, if we react HNO3 with sodium hydroxide, what we will be getting is NaNO3 sodium nitrate, and along with that water is going to be produced. So this is an example of an acid-base reaction where we will be getting the corresponding salt, and along with that water is produced. And then we have again HNO3 reacting with potassium carbonate to produce KNO3, the corresponding alkali metal nitrate. Along with that carbon dioxide is evolved because we have a carbonate, and along with that water is going to be produced. Now the group 1 nitrates, they are fairly low melting solids and amongst the most stable nitrates. So this is very importantly what you have to remember, that these are quite stable nitrates, and the stability order is going to be again the same way. Down the group stability is going to increase. Again, the same rule, please do remember that nitrate ion, this is a large anion. So this will be more stable when it is going to be with a large size cation. Okay, so these now orders should be very easy for you people. And if you want to have again the complete list of all the stability orders that we have been learning in these lectures, you can watch my lecture on the trends for the alkali metals in my course, in my playlist Inorganic Made Easy. In fact, I have put that in this playlist also for the S block elements, so you can watch that for a quick revision always. And then very importantly, these are stable, but when we are going to heat them strongly, not the Bunsen flame, but when you're going to heat them strongly, they are going to decompose. Okay. And the decomposition reaction, you have to remember two reactions. One is for lithium and one is going to be for the rest of the alkali metals. This is very important. The difference of the reaction or the decomposition reaction of lithium and the rest of the alkali metals. In fact, the next lecture when we will be talking about the anomalous behavior of lithium from the rest of the alkali metals, we are going to talk about all the differences of lithium and the rest of the alkali metals. But this is going to be one very important difference and very frequently asked difference. Okay, so lithium salts, they decompose to give Li2O, lithium oxide, and along with that NO2 is evolved. NO2 is going to be a reddish brown color gas, which you can see very easily when we are performing this experiment. So this is going to be very, very important. Okay. So LiNO3 on heating is giving us Li2O, NO2, and along with that oxygen. The next, the nitrates, the rest of the nitrates, they decompose to give the nitrite, and along with that oxygen is evolved. So there is no reddish brown color gas that is going to be evolved when the rest of the nitrates are going to be heated, whereas lithium nitrate on heating is going to give us a reddish brown color gas. Okay. So MnO3 on heating is going to give us the corresponding nitrite, MnO2, and along with that oxygen is evolved. No NO2. All alkali metal salts, they are soluble in water, and the order of solubility is going to be, well, down the group the solubility is going to decrease. So this nitrate solubility is on the same trick that I told you, that see the maximum difference in the solubility of the cation, the size of the cation and the anion. So lithium is going to be small sized and nitrate ion is going to be large sized. There is going to be a maximum difference in the size in case of lithium nitrate, and down the group that difference is decreasing. So the solubility is also decreasing down the group. The exceptions I have told you already, that the carbonate, the bicarbonate, as well as the sulfate that we will be studying next, well, these are going to be the exceptions where the solubility is going to be maximum when we will be having a large cation and a large anion. So the next we have is the alkali metal sulfates, that is M2SO4. So what is going to be the corresponding oxo acid? It will be H2SO4. All right. So these are chiefly ionic compounds, and ionic compounds, the ionic properties, they are going to increase down the group because the electropositive character increases down the group. So what is going to be the order for the ionic character down the group? Ionic character is going to increase, and you know it from the understanding of the Fajan's rule also now, so that we have repeated it so many times. Lithium ion is small, sulfate ion is large. Lithium ion is going to have the maximum polarizing power. Sulfate ion, this will be having a polarizability, right? So lithium sulfate, the bond between lithium and oxygen of the sulfate, this is going to be again just like we did for lithium carbonate, will be having a covalent character, and as covalent character is more, so ionic character is obviously less. And lithium sulfate, for the same reason, is going to be less soluble in water because more is going to be the covalent character, more less is going to be the solubility in the polar solvent. So down the group, solubility is going to increase. On burning with carbon, they form sulfides. So the reaction is going to be M2SO4 plus carbon forming M2S plus carbon monoxide. Except lithium, all of the alkali metal sulfates, they form double salts when they react with the sulfates of the trivalent metals like iron, chromium, aluminium, and these are called as alums. The double salts, they are called as alums, where we have M2SO4, M2SO4 thrice, 24H2O, right? So this is going to be the alkali metal, and these are going to be the trivalent metal. So now I finish up the teaching part, and now we are up to the lecture review questions. All right. So what are the lecture review questions? These are those questions which are going to be based upon the learning of this lecture, and you have to answer the question in the comment section. Unless you answer them, I'm not going to give you the correct answer. All right. So let us see how much you have gained from this lecture. So question number 1, this is a AIEEE 2011 question. So AIEEE is what JEE Mains was called before it was being started calling as JEE Mains. So the products obtained on heating lithium nitrate will be LiNO2 plus O2, Li2 plus NO2 plus O2, Li3N plus O2, Li2O plus NO plus O2. So the next question is, the least stable carbonate of the alkali metals is cesium carbonate, sodium, potassium, rubidium, lithium carbonate, and this is a question which was asked for the Kerala PMT examination 2013. I am taking up my questions from wherever I can. The next question is, we have lithium nitride reacting with water to produce a gas that is A, and lithium carbonate on decomposition giving a gas that is B, and you have to tell the hybridization of the central atom in A and B respectively. All right. So this reaction of lithium nitride with water is what you have learned in the chemical properties when we were discussing about the reaction with air. Okay, and this is what you have learned today. So this is going to be a cumulative. First of all, you have to tell which gases, and then you have to tell the hybridization of the central atom in that. So this is a question which has been given in the NTA mock test in the recently launched app, that is the National Test Abhyas. Okay. The next question is, the incorrect statement is lithium nitrate decomposes on heating to give LiNO2 plus O2. Lithium is least reactive with water among the alkali metals. Lithium chloride crystallizes from aqueous solutions as lithium chloride to H2O, and lithium is the strongest reducing agent among the alkali metals. And this is the JEE Mains April 2019 question, and this is what we have discussed in all the chemical properties lectures. So these are the 4 questions for you people. Now, before we finish, well, yes, I have a Have an Edge section over here as well for you people. And what do I have in the Have an Edge section? Some important things from this and something more also, especially for the students of JEE Advanced. So being highly basic, the alkali metals, they form bicarbonates. No other metals, please do remember, form bicarbonates in the solid state, though ammonium bicarbonate also exists. So ammonium bicarbonate and the alkali metal bicarbonates are the only bicarbonates that we have to be existing in the solid state. Then we have these metal bicarbonates evolving carbon dioxide and forming carbonates on gentle warming, which is used for the qualitative analysis of the bicarbonates. The crystal structure, this is something for the JEE Advanced students, that the crystal structures of sodium bicarbonate and potassium bicarbonate, they form different types of hydrogen bonding. Both of them show hydrogen bonding, but different forms of hydrogen bonding. In sodium bicarbonate, the bicarbonate ions, they are linked into an infinite chain, whereas in potassium bicarbonate, a dimeric anion is going to be formed. So this is what you can see. This is the structure for the sodium bicarbonate, and this is going to be the structure for potassium bicarbonate. This is the crystal structures. Both have a hydrogen bonding. So here you can see a hydrogen bonding taking place between the two molecules, or you can see the two different types of anions, actually not the molecules. So we have the bicarbonate ion in case of sodium bicarbonate, the next bicarbonate ion of the sodium bicarbonate, and so on. So this is linked into an infinite chain, whereas in case of potassium bicarbonate, the dimeric anion is going to be formed. Okay, so this is something for the JEE Advanced students. So that would be all for this lecture. I hope you all have enjoyed your learning with me. You understood everything and you know what are the most important points related to this lecture, which are very frequently asked in the examination. Okay, so I hope you are going to join me back also for the next lecture, and the next lecture, well, let us see what it is going to be. So please do subscribe, do like, and do share it with your friends. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.